I read that it's clear that the only time that a PS will be sent or will be sent to a co-op is when there's a problem. It's here ailing cooperatives, particularly on the issue on financial and technical issue. So can you ventilate us on this? Why, considering that BENECO is not ailing in terms of the two aspects I mentioned? Actually, BENECO is a AAA. In fact, receive a lot of awards in terms of operation in financial status. How come they sent a PS? Can you explain?
Thank you, sir. If I may be allowed to go down memory lane. The concept of a project supervisor has been there since 1979, when PD 1645 was issued by the late Ferdinand Marcos in the exercise of his legislative powers. As you mentioned a while ago, it was only in 2013 that the concept of step-in rights under Section 4B, of 10531 was conceptualized, meaning the concept of a PS being designated or assigned to a project supervisor does not necessarily require that the co-op must be an ailing co-op. Ahan tayo nga umadayon apo.
No, Attorney, if I may cut you.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
The which part of the Republic Act 10531 that states that, as you mentioned, at any given time, NEA can appoint a PS. Is that what I understand is that it's only under Section B. It's only when there are cases of ailing cooperatives. Can you particularly cite which provision?
It's not found in 10531, sir. It's found in 1645.
Meaning to say that provision in the law you mentioned was not amended or by the Republic Act 10531?
I don't think so, sir.
No,
Besides,
of course,
the supervisor is being done by NEA pursuant to Section 4A and not 4C, 4B.
yeah.
4A supervisory powers. 4B refers to the step-in powers of NEA.
Actually, our focus because PS it says project supervisor. So anyway, maybe if I miss the provisions in that old Republic presidential decree you mentioned, or the 269, and the other one, focus I'm banking on the Republic Act 10531. Now, okay, considering, I proceed to the next. Assuming that, of course, you were given the order to become the project supervisor of BENECO, especially in these trying times of BENECO. The main function, of course, of a PS, I believe, when I read the duties and responsibilities in the board resolution for your appointment, isn't it to make sure that the operations of BENECO is normal despite the ongoing issue regarding the 2GM, and that what I believe is you will be here as the project supervisor and not actually to side initially the another party or one party, because the still ongoing. There's a case filed, but it seems that your action right now is, of course, you are working with the GM as appointed by the NEA.
Yes, sir. That's one of my tasks under the board resolutions that you cited. In point of fact, sir, how can I supervise the management and operations to its full extent when I, being the representative of the government regulator, am barred entry into the BENECO building itself? When, if I would please inform the honorable members of this august body, as I tried to serve, I was told that no one except organic employees of BENECO are allowed entry into the building. It's rather unfortunate that despite the fact that I am the project supervisor, I am not allowed entry into the building. Nonetheless, when opportunity came for me to be able to tell those who are present, I told them, and I would still tell them, that agtungtong kayo, I come in a spirit of dialogue. For the next day, on September 29, I asked that the department managers and the other leaders of the BENECO employees, I asked them for a meeting, but they rebuffed me. They did not come.
You know, for me personally, attorney,
Yes, sir.
PowerPoint, and most of the MCOs are, thinking that they sent you to assist both sides. I mean, to hear both sides, actually. But anyway, sir, may I proceed to the other issue that I would like to ask from you? Granting that you are now the PS, so when did you start? When did you started as the PS again? October.
September. September.
So since September up to now, of course, you are the official project supervisor as you claim, and of course, based on the resolution. Now, may I ask you, can you, on the issue first, on the damages in BENECO and all others, are you aware then as the project supervisor on the what happened? Like, for example, what they call this, the vehicles of the BENECO, there is one that is missing but finally found. The other parts of all the service vehicles were damaged, and accordingly there were missing items inside. As a project supervisor, what is your reaction to this, or what are you doing on this right now?
Thank you for that question, sir. I have never been informed of this alleged loss or damage. I have never gotten any communication from those inside that BENECO building.
So you are not aware of this, in short?
Not inform me about this, sir.
Anyway, maybe they will inform you later, or maybe they will, well, of course, I think according to our city police officer, they are still conducting investigation, and hopefully this will come to your office, attorney.
Yes, sir. And they can reach me. Attorney Carino fully knows of my email address.
Okay.
He can send the communication even when I am not in the location, sir. And
Yeah.
it will reach. Just what it was done this morning when I was belatedly formally informed of this meeting, sir.
Anyway, my last question, so that we can also give chance to our members of the city council, is like this, attorney. What is your? Of course, you've been there for so long. You are a legal officer. What is your take in as far as the power of AGMA is concerned? The Annual General Membership Assembly of the NCO.
As long as it is a legally convened assembly, sir, then it will be forwarded to NEA. But if you are referring to that fateful October 2 congregation, may I just respectfully inform the body that this assembly was not sanctioned by the regulators. Neither the NEA nor the CDA sanctioned this assembly. Precisely, we are governed by laws, sir, and we should not be taking the law into our own hands. There have been advisories. I myself issued the advisory that on the part of NEA, the AGMA will not proceed. Neither did the Cooperative Development Authority sanction any AGMA for October 2. The question now is, how did they get any authorization? And what is now the legal effect of an assembly or a congregation which was neither sanctioned by the NEA nor the CDA? Are we supposed to take the law into our own hands and proceed with what we want to, notwithstanding the disavowal of the regulators?
You know, Attorney, I'm very thankful that you understand Ilocano, and on your personal point of view, nakita mo, Attorney, niya, what is happening right now in the BENECO. Of course, you should respect us member consumers. We are the member consumers, owners, you know. That's why I would like to ask you personally, Attorney. Yeah? You mentioned a while ago, respect the law. Yeah? But
Yes, sir.
can I ask you personally, Attorney, do you think the appointment of Attorney Rafael, of course, she's a good friend of mine, is, I mean, the selection, yes, the selection of Attorney Rafael, because you were there in NEA for during that time. What do you think? Is it, shall we say, valid and really pass or has the higher or the yes, the valid, and how do you term that? I mean, she really deserved all the points, the interview, the exams, etc. Anya pa nakita, Attorney, talaga ba nga isuna piko against the against Engineer Licoben? Please answer us. Tapno ko. Of course, you should. You are there in you've been there for a very long time in the NEA as a legal officer, and you should be aware of this. Please give us your personal idea or your observation so that it can guide us. Attorney.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. But I would respectfully decline to answer that because I would not tread into the penumbra of being cited in contempt for violating the rule on sub judice. Especially this is broadcast on Facebook Live. I cannot be making a personal statement on an issue which I know has been.
Yes, I respect.
I am sorry, sir.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay. But, you know, I'm just trying to ask, maybe one of these days I can ask you off the record, because it is actually, that is actually the main issue, that is the root of the issue, that is what is happening right now. That is one of the most unacceptable decision made by the NEA board. That's why it went through like this. And so anyway, lastly, attorney, as to the continuity of the functions of BENECO, what is your advice then? May I just hear an advice from you as the project, project supervisor sent by NIA?
May I have the question again, sir?
Yeah, what is your advice then as to the operation of BENECO to make sure that the MCOs are not, we are not divided, or we are not in a quandary, especially in the delivery of services of our BENECO employees?
As I have been saying all along, sir, it is the obligation, it's in the Bible of public utilities to afford the best possible kind of services. Barring any acts of sabotage, then the services will continue, if not improve.
Anyway, thank you for that, but thank you, Mr. Chairman, but may I just manifest that the presence of Attorney Mayo here in the city of Baguio, in BENECO, actually has or does not improve the situation, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Lawana. Maybe some of the questions asked by the Honorable Michael Lawana, as you manifested, Attorney Mayo, is covered by sub judice because there are legal issues, which I agree. But maybe you could answer us directly. You have been there at NIA for almost your life. So maybe just know the qualification of a GM. Under Memorandum 2017-35, what are the qualifications to be a GM, if you know, Attorney Mayo?
I think, sir, you have mentioned the issuance of NIA. The document would be the best evidence for the qualification. And may I respectfully manifest that in the selection or in the process of selection of the applications for a general manager, I was not on board. So respectfully, sir, I would inform you that first, it is already there in the issuance that you mentioned, and second, I have no competence to answer that because I was never on board in the process.
So we will look at it and put it on the record, the qualification of a GM in order to be a GM of any cooperative. But before that, we put it on record that we have also we also invited the general manager, Engineer Melchor Licoben. So the members of this august body may ask question also to Engineer Licoben. So before that, I recognize earlier the Honorable Yaranon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question to Engineer Licoben.
Is Engineer Licoben there? You may answer or you may be represented by a lawyer.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I ask if the entry last in the early morning at 2:45 and the entry of the employees at 8 o'clock during their working hours, who was barred from entering? Was it only Engineer Licoben and the board, or were the employees also barred from entering?
If I may, Your Honors, please. Thank you for the question. This is Attorney Delmar Carino. I was authorized by the GM to answer since he has to attend to an official function. To answer the question, I heard my friend Attorney Mayo tell the police officers that nobody should be allowed to enter the premises of the office except upon my permission. Although he mentioned that anyway it's not yet 8 o'clock and the employees can enter their offices at 8 o'clock. But this was what happened. The employees saw what happened on video, and seeing the policemen in full battle gear, it would be understandable for them to entertain fear and anxiety over the situation. That's why the employees have to decide, and almost all of them decided to be absent or not to report for work. I think that's the proper term. Not to report for work that day, including October 19, which is the second day of the week. Now, if I may, the decision of the employees is fully supported by the MCOs, and we in management, including the board of directors, indeed question the propriety of the early morning forcible entry or forced takeover. We understand that the takeover was by virtue of NEA Memorandum 2021-106, as stated by Attorney Mayo, but this came or emanated from NEA BOA Memorandum 2021-87, which was the order that declared the preventive suspension. But when that first order of preventive suspension was issued, 2021-87, Attorney Gakayan already filed a motion for reconsideration for Engineer Licoben, and the board of directors, through board president Attorney Simungi, also made a letter to USEC and now Administrator Emmanuel Juanesa, which also partakes of the nature of a motion for reconsideration. Until now, the NEA BOA has not acted in these two motions for reconsideration. That's why we were quite also surprised why the takeover happened on October 18. And one thing more, this is my opinion as a lawyer of BENECO. We strongly believe that the task of the project supervisor to serve the preventive suspension order was already accomplished, because he came and he posted a copy of the preventive suspension order in the glass door. And he even publicly announced within the hearing distance of the employees that I am the project supervisor and I am serving this particular order. On the while also, Attorney Rafael was already performing his functions as the GM and held office at the YMCA. Given these circumstances, we all thought that everything will come to a standstill. If NEA believed that the board of directors, 7 board of directors and BENECO management defied the order, then they should file the corresponding case before the NEA or whatever forum. And since the preventive suspension order was already served, how come they had to implement again by way of the lightning raid on October 18? Now, just one last point, please allow me. As to the holding of the annual General Membership Assembly, which from the point of view of the NEA representative is illegal, I will honestly and most respectfully disagree. The assembly was legal because of the order of the project supervisor in the evening or on the eve of the AGMA, which says the AGMA shall be cancelled. We believe that is not proper because the holding of the AGMA is now covered by Republic Act 9520, the CDA law, and the member consumers are free to do that. It is therefore legally suspect on the part of the project supervisor to order the suspension. Not even the statement that the CDA itself declared that the AGMA cannot be held is of no moment, because nowhere in Republic Act 9520 does it say that the consent of the CDA is required in the holding of an AGMA. In fact, the CDA law encourages the holding of the AGMA. Now, one last point. If the purpose of the order of the project supervisor is to cancel the AGMA because the board president and the 7 directors cannot function because they are preventively suspended. But let me give to you the details briefly on what happened during the AGMA when the people were already seated. The president and the 7 directors did not immediately convene the AGMA. It was the member consumers who invoked the right that let this AGMA continue because the member consumer owners were not part of the preventive suspension order. So it was approved. And then the AGMA, the member consumer said, let us ratify the decision of the board of directors to appoint Engineer Licoben as the GM. It was approved. They also moved further by saying that the directors, 7 directors, can proceed to function as directors. And they also confirmed the decision of the board that Engineer Licoben shall be the GM. So these are now the voices of the member consumer owners, which we thought should reign supreme. That's why we were honestly shocked. Why, despite the decision of the AGMA, the October 18, 2021 takeover happened? Yun lang po, ma'am.
Thank you for that explanation, Attorney. I have another question because Attorney Mayo said a while ago that one of the reasons that for the forced takeover is because there were huge withdrawals which alarmed them. May I ask if there was any, of course we know that in any turnover, if there was supposed to be a turnover, it's best that there is a transition. And in one of the transitions, of course, is a turnover of functions and responsibilities and the turnover of finances. Was there ever a board resolution changing the signatories of the checks?
If ever there was such a resolution changing the signatories, it was passed, I believe, by the 4 minority directors on the side of Attorney Rafael, and I presume this was approved by the project supervisor, but not from the 7 majority directors who are the subject of the preventive suspension.
So would the banks recognize the 4 signatories?
That is one also of our concerns now at the moment, because there are already banks that have expressed the intention to recognize the change of signatories. And most recently, we were informed that the other camp, through Attorney Rafael, was able to withdraw the amount of 1 million pesos from the Philippine National Bank. And we were really surprised why the bank did that, because we believe that a mere paper from NEA stating the appointment of a project supervisor and the suspension of the board of directors does not partake of a judicial order. The best the bank could do is they should be the one to file a case in court and ask for interpleader so that the both parties can submit their evidence no sino nga talaga GM. But we believe that the bank unilaterally and arbitrarily took upon itself to recognize the alleged legitimacy of the other side and allowed the withdrawal of the amount, ma'am.
So this also covers the opening of new accounts.
We heard also that one, ma'am.
Okay, you have to check the legality of all of this.
Yes.
This being said, with a court pending, a case pending in court, and the statement of Attorney Mayo that the only courts, only the courts can declare if the appointment is valid or not. But meanwhile, it is like a status quo. What does that now mean? I mean,
I do not wish to engage my friend Attorney Mayo in a legal debate, but our take is this. We take this from the wisdom of our co-lawyers. Sa kanya ko to narinig. While it is true that the acts of the NEA BOA are deemed valid and regular until proven otherwise, that is precisely the question. It is presumed valid. And so that if there is a valid reason to reject an invalid regulation because it is still presumed valid, then we believe that we also have the right to honestly and respectfully defy or reject whatever these measures are, which we believe emanated from day one, from the appointment of the lady lawyer by way of a NEA BOA resolution that manifestly and deliberately violated NEA Memorandum 2017-035 and NEA Memorandum 2018-004, which the NEA itself declared as the rules of the selection of GM in the exercise of its quasi-legislative powers.
okay, I have now really a concern as a consumer. I will be paying my bills. And this will go now to the new account that Attorney Mayo mentioned. And yet he said that it depends if there is a cooperation with, I think, is that the technical team? I'm sure the employees still holds that if I pay, then they will say it would reflect in the records that I have paid, so my electricity bills will not be cut. So when we asked if there's an assurance, he said it depends on the other members or the other employees. Kindly explain that.
At the moment, all our payment centers manned by regular BENECO tellers are already open. So there's no fear. If they come to pay to us, it will be credited, it will be put into the ledger and absorbed by the system. I believe the concerns are those customers who paid on October 18 and 19, and we are already finalizing an advisory for them that if you paid and you were given official receipts, because we noticed from our records there were missing official receipts, which we assumed were used by the tellers that were recruited on the spot by the other camp on October 18 and 19. They will come, those who paid on October 18 and 19, show us the official receipt showing your payment. We will accept them, we will record them, but in the meantime, we will just include it as a matter of record pending the reconciliation of our records. In case na they will not be accepted, the payments, because they do not have receipts, we will assure you likewise, member consumers, that we will not impose any disconnection or collect any charges. Now, from here on towards the succeeding days, we encourage our member consumers to pay as normal in our accredited banks, payment centers, collection centers of BENECO. It is also your call if you go and pay with the tellers that were recruited by the other
May I know where these 5 recruited tellers are collecting?
I am not really aware of that, ma'am.
So it is not in any of the regular payment centers by
No, ma'am.
that we used to have.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am,
for
no,
that.
ma'am.
My other concern is now your operation. Will your operations not be delayed or hampered? Because I know you would be paying services, you would be paying employees, or you would be paying materials, and checks would be issued. Now, who would be paying
As
the
to
expenses?
Yes, as to operations, we already resumed the normal operations in the afternoon of October 20 after the reclamation, if I will say that, of the offices of BENECO through the efforts of employees and member consumer owners. But as to bank transactions, this is again the concern that we face as stated earlier. We have written the banks and we urge them to observe status quo in the meantime and recognize the checks and transactions issued by Beneco, which were signed by Attorney Sumngi as BOD President. Because we are also worried, we have loans with the bank, we have payables to pay, and the biggest bulk of our payment is our monthly power bill. And if the banks will not recognize the signatures, then there will be kaput or there will be disorder. Kung sana yung mga bangko naman, dahil pera ang pinag-uusapan dito, is they will just allow the normal transactions under the normal setup and let the issue of who will be the GM run its course in the proper venue.
That's exactly for me personally, that the legality, we will leave the legalities to the courts. But we hope that the operations and the consumers' utilities will not be hampered by this whatever is going on within BENECO. And I hope both sides would really come into terms that this will not disrupt our services.
On our part, our operations will run smoothly and efficiently as it was before October 18. And on our side, we will ensure that these events will not hamper our operations.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The others now ask other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Yaranon, Honorable Orcales, and Honorable Cayabas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to our guests. Firstly, Mr. Chair, this issue has called the attention of all the members, consumers, and owners of BENECO, and as well as the union members and employees of BENECO. But before I dwell on that concern, I would like first to go back to what the Attorney Mayo said. He said that as a project supervisor, he is above the general manager and the board of directors. But he also mentioned that he is not aware of what actually transpired after that takeover last October 18. Now, may I ask our attorney Carino from BENECO, may you please enlighten us and of course the entire City Council, itong mga naire-report na tinanggalan ng ignition switch yung mga service vehicles, that one of your service vans were actually reported missing and was found abandoned at Cathedral grounds. Can you explain to us, attorney, what happened? What did you find out? Ano yung mga nakita po ninyong mga nangyari?
Yes, sir. We are still finalizing our reports for inventory on if there are missing or destroyed properties on October 18 and 19. I was informed that there were several service vehicles whose tubes and wires were intentionally pulled. There were vehicles whose doors were intentionally destroyed. And we confirmed the discovery, if I may use that word, of the board van at the Baguio Cathedral na wala na yung logo, and I think it was also destroyed. We also have the reports about the missing terms of, official receipts. And we noticed that although there were no missing records, we noticed that they were touched, perhaps copied. And we are afraid that our emails could have been opened likewise, our Viber communication. And we really saw several papers signed and unsigned, terminating every employee who did not report on October 18. We also have copies of appointments already of new employees to be placed in several positions. So medyo parang we really turned sad kasi nakita namin ito. And pati security on October 18 and 19, they asked the officially engaged security provisor to stay on the sides, and they let in a new army of security guards that they hired. Yun lamang po ang narinig ko as of this time, ma'am. Sir pala, sorry.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us what you have found out in terms of your inventory sa properties ng BENECO. This is quite alarming, Mr. Chair, because we assume that our properties, our belongings of BENECO will be taken care of. But what actually transpired is the opposite. That is why, Mr. Chair, you cannot blame us and the people for going there the second day after that October 18 scenario. I would just like quote a simple phrase from a simple song. Hindi nyo ba naririnig yung tinig ng taong galit? That's a very simple manifestation that we are actually observing what is happening. And to continue, Mr. Chair, with my question. Attorney Mayo said earlier that they only hired emergency tellers, 5 emergency tellers. Attorney Mayo, are you still with us?
Sir,
Yes, sir. Sir, you said earlier that you hired emergency tellers earlier. 5 or 6 ang sabi mo ninyo. And then
yes,
you,
sir.
that when you were asked paano natin sila babayaran or ma-compensate, you said that it would come from the collections on that one-day collection that you had. Correct ba yun, sir?
I don't remember having been asked on how they would be compensated, sir. If I don't know.
Answer, consider that as a answer as a question to you. How would you be
Yeah.
the services of that 5 emergency tellers you hired?
We'll just pay them what is their due, sir, because they rendered service on the doctrine of quantum merit.
And then when will you get the funds for the payment?
We have funds at our disposal, sir.
Okay, I will no longer ask anything about that. My
Thank you, sir.
third question, Attorney Mayo. Attorney Cariños already mentioned this, that you had hired the services of the security agency for BENECO. Is that true?
We hired on emergency basis, sir, because of course trust is paramount in this during those times.
For what purpose, Attorney Mayo? Since I believe that we already have existing security there at BENECO.
Yes, sir, because we had to be dealing with people whom we can trust.
What do you mean you can trust? Who you can trust?
The security guards we found there at were hired pursuant to a contract with those who are suspended. And therefore, we would rather have our new set of guards, sir.
So what happened to those guards that you pinalitan ho nyo ba sila? Tinanggal nyo sila sa serbisyo?
That is a very good question because we only had them coexist with each other, sir.
Coexist.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Chair, allow me to continue. This is for me my final questions, Mr. Chair. I would not dwell on the legal matters, Mr. Chair. But, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask our Procor representative,
Colonel Glenn Lonogan.
Sir Glenn Lonogan.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I just have one very simple question. You were requested to be there to ensure that there is peace and safety among all the parties thereat, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then thereafter, of course, you have to ensure pa din that safe ang empleyado at lahat ng mga nandoon. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, there is one issue, sir, that was brought up. That because of that collective action of the people, employees, and MCOs during that time, when you were also requested to be there, we received reports that you're actually looking at their background of those who had facilitated that collective and peaceful assembly, that you are checking their profile if they are leftist daw. Is that correct? Nagbabackground info daw kayo, you are profiling those who went there peacefully?
I am not aware of such action on the part of PRO Cordillera, sir.
So we are already informing you that there was actually a report made that those who facilitated and those who peacefully assembled during that time were later on profiled. Napo-profile sila because of what happened. So I please take this as a caution from us that we are similar with you. We are representing the people, and we would like to relate to you what was happening. So if given this information, please take a look at it. That what happened during that time was a peaceful assembly. There was no intention to hurt anybody. Would you agree with me in saying that?
Yes, sir. We will look into it, sir.
Okay. And then finally, Mr. Chair, this is with regard to the assurance that we need for the non-interrupted delivery of services to our MCOs. Mr. Chair, who do we call kapag mayroon pong nasirang poste or nawala ng kuryente who needs technical services sa ating mga MCO? Who do we call kaya? Would it be Attorney Carino? Kayo ho ba ang magre-responde sa tawag ng tao kapag kailangan po ng technical assistance sa ating mga poste, sa ilaw? Kayo ho ba yun?
We have our numbers posted in our BENECO calendar. We have our 24/7 CWO whom all the consumers can call so that they can properly endorse to the appropriate office for the proper reply and response.
Thank you for that, Attorney. I am just very concerned, Mr. Chair, because the information being posted para sa access ng tao, kung kailan tatawag, sinong tatawagin, at sinong paniniwalaan, magkaiba po eh. Meron pong isang Facebook account na BENECO nakalagay at meron iba pa ulit. So we want to know who to actually call when we have concerns with regards to our electricity. Would that be from Attorney Carino or Attorney Man? Sino po ang tatawagan namin? Dalawa po ang pinopost ninyo. We are very confused. Sino pong susundan namin? Attorney Carino, can you respond to that?
It should be our office presently at the BENECO headquarters along South Drive, sir.
Okay. So those are my very simple and brief questions, Mr. Chair. And I would now like to yield to others, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Rocales. Now I may recognize the Honorable Hayabas, the Honorable Bagbagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the invitations, that we have three main important reasons. Number one is concerning the involvement of the police, especially during that wee hour at the BENECO headquarters. Number two is light on the incident is still during that incident that was held October 18. And the third one, the assurance of the non-interrupted delivery of services to the MCOs. And I'd like to dwell on the number three. It's all about the assurance on the non-interrupted or
unhampered delivery. The first question is given to Attorney Mayo. Good afternoon. Naimbag nga malam mo ako.
Sir.
What do you think was the main objective or purpose of your appointment as the PS, the project supervisor? Was it because of BENECO itself or for a particular person?
I would like to think it was for BENECO itself, as outlined in the order, in the resolution itself. That's resolution 2021-87, sir.
Yes, because analyzing the situation, if it is for BENECO itself, that is as a project supervisor, that you should be here to stabilize the misunderstanding between the two camps, not probably to side to a particular camp. Am I correct, Tony?
That is correct. You are correct, sir.
But based on your state, yes, you may continue, Tony.
However, as I have stated earlier, upon the posting the valid service of the suspension order, I already reached out to these leaders, including Attorney Carino. In fact, Attorney Carino was the first person I called when I arrived in Baguio, sir. But he said, what if we defy? And I'm putting that on record, sir. What if we defy? That means the defiance of an order by a government agency is sadly predicated on the discretion of a person. And this is so unfortunate. Not even in the law, this is in the laws of the jungle. Is this prevalent, sir? This is my opinion on the matter. Attorney Carino arrived at South Drive at about 4 o'clock in the morning. I talked to him and I said, no, I told the guards nobody enters the building because it was still dawn. It was dark, and I am of course aware of the dangers fraught with darkness. I told him, this is your mission, you are the lawyer. He told me, this is your mission, you tell them please of the legal ramifications. And he said, I cannot. He cannot be neutral. So what is he a lawyer for? That is precisely, Your Honor, the role of the lawyer in the community to explain which is the legal process that we have to undertake. But it seems that corners have been cut. Mr. Licoben is caught in a legal straitjacket. He filed a petition, yet without awaiting for the result of that petition filed almost 2 months ago, he has assumed again the position despite having been validly served with the suspension order. And may I please inform the honorable members of this august body that the law recognizes the immediately executory nature of the orders of quasi-judicial bodies that are enumerated in Section 1 of Rule 43. That is why there is Section 12, that the filing of the appeal does not stop the implementation of the order. I think this is the gist why we are talking of a motion for reconsideration. Respectfully, sir, may I inform the honorable members, that if the filing of an appeal does not stop the implementation, we have the same course of action expected after the filing of a motion for reconsideration, which has been defined as partaking of the nature of an appeal. This is the reason why there seems to be so much disorientation so much confusion. The laws are clear, but so many sectors have contributed their cents worth into a purely legal matter.
Yes, attorney, because personally, in my understanding, that the project supervisor is here again to come up with a solution so that we could be able to continuously serve the customers with uninterrupted services. You made mention about disorientation. You made mention about confusion, but what have you done also to help the MCOs, not particularly either sides?
With respect to what I have done, sir, right after the service on September 28th, I had issued an invitation to a meeting for September 29. But they did not respond. They rebuffed. They rebuffed even the regulator, sir.
Have you not considered, attorney, social acceptability on the matter?
I am a lawyer, sir, and I am supposed to observe the laws. In fact, I tried calling Attorney Carino because he is the closest to me among those in BENECO now, and he has not responded to my call.
Okay, I'd like to believe still that as a project supervisor, if you could come up with propose resolutions to this issue so that we could be able to still probably come up with a better or unhampered services, especially in the part of our MCOs. Now I'd like to direct my question to the representative from BENECO, Attorney Carino. It was asked a while ago for to be or probably the maintenance. How about the other services of BENECO? Just like, for example, because I heard that some are still availing such educational assistance from your cooperative and other services being given to the MCOs. So what to deal with or whom to deal with here with these concerns, attorney?
As to the technical, institutional, metering, readings, activities of the cooperative, we are back on normal with the all concerns to be centralized at BENECO South Drive. So, kung services lang, we will assure the public and the Honorable Councilor that we will continue the efficient rendering of this service pursuant to the conditions prior to October 18. As to the educational assistance, our Board of Directors approved last month the release of at least one half of what they are supposed to receive because our revenues suffered because of the pandemic. And we will make the announcement perhaps November or December to those students who are supposed to receive them. We are receiving a lot of inquiries at the Consumer Welfare Office about this scholarship, not really a scholarship, but educational assistance, and we will release them before the year ends.
Does it mean to say, attorney, that same as usual, that they will be receiving the same amount as they used to receive from the cooperative?
No, sir. The board approved after analyzing our financial standing is that they agreed to release just one half of what they are supposed to receive.
So 50%, attorney, was it because of this squabble or was it because of...
No. This decision was made even before this squabble. It has nothing to do with this squabble. It was a joint decision of all the 11 directors at that time.
I am asking this, attorney, because many of our youth came to our office, being the Committee Chair on Education, asking about the assistance coming from the city because of the fear of the possibility of not being paid or not to be paid by BENECO, at least you inform that 50% no longer the full amount they used to receive, attorney.
Yes, sir. It's just that our honest concern now is because if the banks will refuse to honor us, then we cannot withdraw these funds to be given to the students.
And another question, attorney, is may we know the status of our application with CDA?
Okay, as I have mentioned earlier, we are already a duly registered electric cooperative. We are in the process of the conversion process. The conversion is the collection. One of the process of the conversion is the collection of the member share capital contribution. That's why we have made announcements for our member consumers to already pay the minimum share of 500 pesos so that we can execute the treasurer's affidavit that 25% of the authorized capital stock and the subscribed capital stock has been paid. And we need to submit this to CDA, sir.
Given that we'll be successful in becoming a CDA accredited cooperative, what are the perceived improvements in terms of the realization of really member consumer owners of the cooperative?
This is the first major step towards the realization of enhancing and strengthening the membership of our member consumer owners. Once they pay the minimum share capital of 500 pesos, they will be issued certificates of capital contribution, and the board will decide where these contributions will be used. And maybe after 2 or 3 years, should there be dividends or net income, the board will decide whether this will be plowed back into the operations of the electric cooperative, or this time we will give it as dividends to the member consumer owners.
Okay, so in the understanding that really that MCO, especially ownership, will really be realized when we are now under the CDA, attorney.
Yes, sir.
And the last manifestation, I'd like still to support the third reason why personnel have been invited today, and that is because of with that big purpose that unhampered services to the MCO shall not be sacrificed. That in a way we could be able to safeguard all the assets of BENECO while respecting the rights of all the members and consumers. With that, Mr. Chair, thank you so much.
Thank you, the Honorable Rocales. So we will now listen, Honorable Cayabas. So we will now listen to Honorable Bagbagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For me, the issue here is not who between the two is supposed to occupy the GM, the general managership. I think what is really on trial here is the role of law. As always stated, the issues here are legal. So there are many people who are giving their opinions in many, ang dami nakikisaw-saw. Mga employees, mga belo, and even politicians. And I think that it is not anymore August. It is already October, the start of the campaign period. Anyway, may I direct my question to Attorney Mayo. Attorney Mayo.
Yes, sir.
This brouhaha came about because there are two contending parties who claim that they are the legitimate general manager. One is duly appointed by the NEA, and the other one is banking on the appointment by the BENECO board and supported by the AGMA. Now, am I correct that you only recognize one GM here, one general manager?
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comment earlier that this is a legal question. But insofar as NEA is concerned, we only have one general manager, sir.
Okay. Now that is which,
That is correct, sir.
okay, which according to you, it was questioned by Engineer Licoben at the Court of Appeals.
That is correct, sir.
And you said that you have not yet unofficially received. Why do you say so, Attorney Mayo, that you have not yet officially received that petition?
Sir, as far as I know, decisions of NEA, among other quasi-judicial bodies, are brought to the Court of Appeals by way of a petition for review under Rule 43.
And alam ko na. So in that petition, what does Attorney Licoben, what is the prayer of Attorney Licoben?
That is covered by sub judice.
No, it's not covered by sub judice. It's not on the merits. I'm just asking for the prayer.
That is correct, sir. That is correct.
Your Honor.
You are a lawyer. I know that you are a lawyer. You will
Asking for the prayer. And this is of public interest.
It is a public interest, but it's pending.
Okay, I will go to my other Okay. Now Attorney Mayo.
Yes, sir.
So who is now in charge of BENECO? Considering that there are two GMs who are pretending to be legitimate.
Yes, sir. Considering that they have the senior officials of BENECO, meaning the department managers, have spurred my invitation way back in September 29, sir. Then, insofar as BENECO is concerned, the law is clear that the business board of directors, we have been passing resolution. Nonetheless, it would be also proper to inform the honorable members of, aside from the approval of the project supervisor, NEA has ratified these board resolutions, sir.
Okay. But from the point of view of NEA, that appointment by NEA of Attorney Rafael until now has not been annulled by any
That is correct,
court
sir.
or any
That is correct, sir.
okay. So that appointment order still stands until
That
today.
is,
Okay.
yes, sir. And that is presumed regular, sir.
It is presumed regular until it is. In a way, Attorney Mayo, the problem now is you said that that suspension order was issued to you last September 25.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now it
And
is
I would
October
like, sir,
25. It is now October 25.
may I by allow allowed to explain a little, sir. Thank you. The suspension was served validly on September 28, sir. Because of the reports coming from the project supervisor to NEA decided to deputize the Philippine National Police in implementing it. Because, sir, to my mind, and as a lawyer, I held back. I would rather err on the side of prudence. I gave them 3 full weeks to obtain that TRO. Unfortunately, even now, 4 weeks after that, the TRO seems to be not forthcoming. Why, sir? Under the usual practice of the Court of Appeals, the TRO is being served by the designated officer of the Court of Appeals personally to NEA because it is nearer to Ermita than BENECO.
Again, I would caution Attorney Mayo. I think you are lecturing the court. That is not allowed also.
No, sir. This is from my experience because my first, I would just like to inform the body
Anyway,
that my first job as a lawyer is at the Court of Appeals.
Yes, we know that.
anyway, the point is there is as of now there has not yet been a TRO which is issued by the Court of Appeals to stop the appointment of Attorney Rafael until now.
Yes, sir. Notwithstanding
Okay.
the lapse of about 2 months from the filing.
Okay. Already October 25. Could you say that you have been, or you were able to effectively implement that suspension order which you are supposed to implement?
As of
This now, as of this moment?
October 18 and 19, sir, we were able to bar entry as stated in Resolution 106. But it would appear now that the suspended officials were able to return to BENECO South Drive on October 20 in violation again of that resolution, sir.
Okay. As a matter of fact, there are some outsiders who were there, and I think they were able also to frustrate you from serving that suspension order. Am I correct?
With regard to this suspension order, sir, it was closed. The main doors of BENECO South Drive were closed.
Okay.
And even the regulator, in the person of the project supervisor, was denied entry.
Okay.
That is, sir.
Okay. So now, since you are not able to serve the suspension order until now, despite the fact that you have secured the aid of the police and they were deputized, do you have any legal action in order to be able to enforce this suspension order? Or you will just take it sitting down and wait until kingdom come?
Thank you, sir. I am here in Manila to consult with the lawyers of the National Electrification, sir, on what next steps to be undertaken.
Yes, because if we delay this issue, since it's already very divisive, and both camps are already throwing mud at each other, we have to await for an order which will effectively govern us, whether it will be GM Licoben or GM Attorney Rafael. Until now, we do not know who is really in charge. Especially so that, as you said, we have finances. We do not know how finances are being secured. As you said, there were attempts attempted withdrawals of big amounts. How secure are the finances of BENECO?
Yes, sir. Because I was alarmed also, and it is contained in my report to the Board of Administrators, that starting October 4 or 5, sir, the usual bank pickups for the collection at South Drive had ceased. I was informed that there are two banks which collect alternately from the South Drive compound because of the daily collections being made by the consumers. But for about 4 weeks now, the said collections have not been deposited in the said banks, sir.
Oh, that's very, very alarming. And especially so, Attorney Mayo, I heard you on interview in an interview in ANC that you said that BENECO for 2 consecutive audit reports is on the red. Would you confirm that?
That is correct, sir. I can give you a soft copy of the said adverse audit reports. You can have your email address sent to me, sir, and then we can give you. Anyway, it's
Now,
public document.
When was BENECO on the red? What year?
I think, sir, the audit reports covered 2017, 2014 up to 2017. And
Okay.
there is another one, 2018, January 2018 up to December 2020.
Okay. Based on those reports which you made, what actions did you take in order to rectify, in order that BENECO has already touted? Anong ginawa ninyo doon sa mga reports ninyo? Did you
The new one,
did you act on them?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is a pending case against the board of directors as to the first one, meaning the 2014 to 2017 audit report. And another case is pending against the board of directors for this latest audit, January 2018 to December 2020.
By the way, Attorney Mayo, for
Yes, sir.
for the information of everybody, because all ears are here at the session hall. Could you please enlighten us what you mean when you say that BENECO is on the red?
If I can
Forum of the Vice Chairman.
grievances and there is I would like to refer this matter, but then
Mayo, you just provide us the audit report. That is the best document that we can have.
yes, sir. Please give me the email address.
Okay.
You provide us the hard copy. Your auditor should provide us, or the auditor. Please provide officially the council.
Oh.
May I ask for a formal request, sir?
Yes.
Also in on hard copy.
We will do that, Attorney Mayo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chair, may I proceed? As I have said, I'm very alarmed with regards to the finances of BENECO right now. So who's now in charge of issuing those checks, of managing how the money is being dispersed? Who's now in charge, Attorney Mayo?
It is the board president, general manager, sir, on matters relating to bank accounts.
Problem as from what I know, there are many checks that are being there are attempted withdrawals, but they were not honored. Anyway, Attorney Mayo, I would just like to request, wherein you were not able to, could you make a report and give us a copy, give the City Council a copy?
Which one, sir?
The October 19 incident, the wherein you allegedly went to BENECO at 2:45.
That was October 18, I think.
October 18.
It was in September 28 when I was first barred, sir.
No. What I'm referring to is that October 18 incident.
Yes, sir.
Could you give us a report on that for the guidance of this City Council?
For the October 18, sir.
Yes, Panyero.
I will. I have submitted, sir, a copy of the said report to the Board of Administrators. May I respectfully request for their clearance on the matter, sir?
Okay. Now, I would like to ask this from Attorney Carino. Panyero,
Yes, sir.
I am alarmed by your statement. I am alarmed by your statement that an order, that you will view an order as presumed valid. But you said also that since it is merely presumed valid, you can still question it. Is that what you are saying?
This goes into the
No,
understanding
I'm
of...
just yes or no?
Allow me to explain. This goes into the way we interpret these laws and regulations. What I am saying in my personal capacity is, if an order is obviously and manifestly erroneous and invalid, there is a room to defy. That's my statement, sir.
Okay, so are you saying that the appointment in the suspension order which were issued by NEA are obviously and manifestly erroneous? Is that what you are saying?
Not necessarily and per se the PSO preventive suspension order, sir. But if
Anyway.
you trace back the series of orders, it goes back to the very first official act of NEA, which is NEA Memorandum 47 and NEA Memorandum 71. These are the very core of the issues of these cases, which we do not want to delve into. As Vice Mayor Olowan said, this is pending before the Court of Appeals, and we do not wish to engage this
Mr. Chairman, no, this
representation,
is
sir,
not,
into a legal debate.
what I'm saying is that, so when you receive an order, which according to you is manifestly erroneous, you will question it in court. Am I correct?
That's one of the options, sir.
Okay. But until and unless that suspension order, which you claim to be erroneous, would be declared invalid, it is still valid. Is it not?
It's not
That is
the
the,
preventive
that is the
suspension
interpretation of
order
the,
itself, sir. I'm referring to the series of NEA resolutions that spawned the issuance of the preventive suspension order. What we are saying as legally questionable and invalid is the way the NEA BOA implemented an administrative rule that begs the question that it becomes illegal, and then came a series of rules
okay.
and orders
Uh,
which ended up with the issuance of the preventive suspension order.
So you mean to say that what is illegal is merely the implementation, but not the legality of the order. Is that what you're saying? I just heard you
It's
say
both
that.
the illegality of the order and the implementation.
So you're not changing your sabi natin sa korte, you're not changing your testimony. Anyway, Attorney Carino, are you aware of the October 19 brownout, which affected, I think, about 5 barangays?
We receive reports
Is
about.
there an incident report about that?
Yes, we have compiled. We will compile those incidents that we were not immediately able to respond to immediately.
I think we should already have an incident report about that because that happened October 19. It is already October 25. Could you furnish us an incident report about that? Because what I know is that that is a self-inflicted brownout, and both sides are accusing each other, and so we would like to be informed of what really happened there. Because, and I would like to, and I will request Apo Lunugan to please investigate that, what happened during that brownout, and I will see to it that those who are responsible will be legally liable, as you cannot trample upon the rights of we consumers. Ang daming mga bata ang hindi nakapag-attend ng online class, including yung 2 apo ko. So, I hope City Director Lunugan, could you please take note of that? And siyempre nagrereklamo kami dito kasi ang daming mga negosyo na which were prejudiced, and I will call Figure 8 was affected, and we will file a case, criminal, administrative, and civil cases.
We will be ready to answer, sir.
We will ask the police to do their job also.
Now, I would like also to, because City Director Lunugan is also present, as a way of honoring him and the police, I would like to say that you did a well job by maintaining peace and order. As to the time, I think that is a judgment call. And I would agree with you that that was the best time to implement, or else there would have been more chaos and more people who will be injured. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair. That's all for this representation.
Thank you, Honorable Pagmagan, Honorable Bumugaw, then Honorable Kusalan, then Honorable Alangsan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As preliminary, we would like that this leadership struggle between the two parties should not in any way affect the delivery of services to our consumers. Like what happened on that fateful, which was mentioned by Councilor Bagbagan. Now, for clarificatory, Attorney Mayo, you were asked by Councilor Lawana that BENECO is not an ailing cooperative. And yes, we have to note that BENECO is not indeed an ailing cooperative. Is there any cooperative here in our country where a PS was designated by NEA to a cooperative which is not ailing for our education? Because that is what we find in the law, RA 103, 10. Well, 103.51. Mr. Attorney Mayo.
Mayo, can you unmute your mic? I guess you're on
Can you
mute.
please answer the query of the Honorable Bumog?
I hope you can hear me, that there are a number of electric cooperatives far from ailing are assigned with project supervisor and an acting general manager rolled into one. So the assignment may be APS, project supervisor, an AGM, acting general manager, or PSAGM. For example, sir, I would like to refer to Ifugao. Ifugao is a cooperative which has a PSAGM. At one time, Abra, also in the Cordilleras, was with a project supervisor, later on with an acting general manager. Down in the south, we have Palawan. Palawan has a project supervisor as far as I know. Albay, where I came from, has a project supervisor. Closer to home, sir, is Kalinga. Kalinga is not an ailing co-op, yet there was a project supervisor. And I would like to make it clear that I am citing Kalinga only as an example, because I am not denigrating against the appointee. The appointee here used to be a NEA employee. He is now one of the department managers of BENECO. So this is an example where an EC is not ailing, but a PS or an AGM is appointed. Or in some cases, the PS and the AGM are one and the same person. Also in Camarines 3, Casureco 3, we have an AGM there, appointed by the National Electrification Administration, sir. Take this opportunity to inform the body and those listening that the declaration of an ailing, of a cooperative as ailing, is not in what is legally termed as a conditio sine qua non for the designation or appointment of a PS AGM or PS AGM. Meaning, a co-op may not be ailing, yet NEA may still validly appoint a PS, an AGM, or a PS AGM to that cooperative, sir.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Another thing is, of course, here in the Baguio and Benguet, we would like to have a genuine cooperative where the General Assembly or the members are superior in terms of deciding the destiny of cooperative. We would like to remove the supervisory function or power of supervision from the National Electrification Administration.
Thank you for the question, sir. Before the advent of Republic Act 10531, during the administration of the late electric cooperatives, I think 11 of them, which have transferred registration to the CDA. At that time, they were already outside of the ambit of the powers of NEA. But when Republic Act 10531 was enacted and took effect, that is on June 1, 2013, all electric cooperatives, regardless of their registration, were placed under the ambit of the powers of NEA, sir.
So, it means that whether we register with the CDA, NEA will still be there to supervise the CDA registered cooperative. Is that it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
In fact, one example, sir, is Abreco in Abra, also within CAR. Abreco is one of the 11 electric cooperatives which registered with the CDA. Yet, as I mentioned earlier, NEA has exercised its powers over Abreco by the appointment of a PS and thereafter an AGM.
Thank you. May I shift my question to Attorney Delmar?
Proceed.
Hello, Sir Delmar. Now that there was a change in the signatory to the bank, and the present board of directors, the four directors are the ones who are exercising the board functions. Millions of pesos daily. How can we secure? Thank you, Delmar.
Please answer, Delmar Carino.
The matter raised by the councilor is strictly a financial matter. If ever the cooperative did not submit its collections as regularly as possible, it was made as a protective and preventive measure to safeguard our funds. They are well kept. And this is because we would like also our normal transactions with our clients and the stakeholders to proceed, which may be heavily compromised if the banks that we used to deposit to will not already recognize the present signatories and recognize a change of signatories. Sir.
So, meaning the collection and audit is being done by the BENECO employees themselves, which within the BENECO management. Am I correct?
Can you answer that, Delmar, Attorney Carino?
You're muted, sir. Kindly unmute your mic.
Sige. Councilor Bumogao, kindly repeat your question. I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you, Manong. Meaning the accounting and the audit disbursement is now being made by the BENECO employees themselves and not by the board of directors and the GM because they are suspended. Is that how we understand the financial status of BENECO now, of those that are collected by BENECO itself from the collection centers?
Not exactly the employees, sir, but the appropriate office handles all these transactions, especially the non-network services department, which we refer to as our finance department, and of course, with the help and assistance of the internal audit office.
Thank you, Sir Delmar, because of course so that we will not be alarmed that even if there are still matters to be cleared in BENECO, for example, the one who should disburse, the disbursing officers, the signatures of checks to be disbursed, at least we consumers know very well that the money is well protected and that our obligations to our suppliers, to other persons will be honored.
Yes, sir. We assure you that. Yun nga lang, for other transactions that are not being honored by the banks, that is where the dilemma that we have now. That's why, admittedly, we do not regularly deposit the funds as regularly as we have done before, because this will really compromise and put a setback on our transactions that will not be honored by the banks, sir.
Hopefully, Sir Delmar, you will have all the security to protect the money.
Yes.
Yes, walang kukuha dyan kahit sino.
Yes, sir. We assure you that kasi nakalibro naman lahat po yan. Merong daily collection report, merong pinipirmahan na attestation that this is the collection today, and the amounts that were collected, sir.
Thank you, Sir Delmar.
Yes, sir.
So, I would like to ask if those who were suspended, are still functioning as board of directors and a GM. Are they still discharging the functions of a GM or a board of director?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your opinion a while ago that since there was a motion for reconsideration, we respect that. And would you think that the fast tracking by NEA of resolving the administrative cases filed by each party against each other will resolve the impasse in the BENECO?
For the cases filed in court, my answer is yes, sir. But now, for the cases that are being handled by the NEA, that is one big serious concern that we have to hurdle now, because, well, I do not wish to preempt the NEA BOA, but we expect also some partiality on their part, because the subject of these admin cases are the very orders that they issued. So how can we just accept a degree of objectivity from the NEA BOA when the cases that will resolve involve resolutions that they themselves issued? It's a big question on our part, dear Councilor.
Thank you, Sir Delmar. You're one of the BENECO employees that I admire, and hopefully all will turn well on both parties. So let us bring this to the proper forum, and hopefully that we will, all of us, it's our obligation to observe what we call the rule of law. So the parties have different opinions, but let us bring this to the proper forum. Thank you very much.